Mom just told me that I need to stop embarrassing her every time we go to the mall together because I wear the same aloe sweatsuit. So today I'm gonna dress up a little bit. My base outfit is this Chanel cardigan and these frame jeans. Accessorizing, I'm thinking of either this mini bag, which fits nothing but my mother's patience for me, or this vintage Chanel top handle and then these loafers. Let me know which you think is better.
Fits nothing but my mother's patience for me is gold. If Becca starts selling merch with her phrases on it, I would buy it. She is living such an iconic life and she's doing it with the most deadpan humor. I love it. And in many cases, influencers are faking it till they make it. They're putting on a performance for social media, trying to portray a life they don't actually live behind the scenes. But that's not true of Becca's content. She posts what she wants, when she wants, without catering to anybody on social media because she's not here to make money on views. And that gives her content a certain charm that not many other people have. You know me, I have a lot of critical opinions on social media and influencer culture. Most of the time I'm talking about things that I find really problematic online or things that I don't like. Okay, this tail is really... Zeke is insisting on being a part of the action today. I thought I would just start filming, but wow, I'm getting like batted in the face already. As I was saying, most of the time with these influencer insanity videos, I'm talking about things that I'm not particularly a fan of. But today we're gonna be taking a different direction and we're gonna be covering somebody who's actually very well liked on social media. And it's perplexing because you feel like you shouldn't like her, but you do, you just can't help it. And most of that conversation has to do with money too. In my last episode of Influencer Insanity, we talked about influencers who kind of built their following based on being down to earth and relatable. And then over time, they changed to be somebody completely different, usually as a result of increased wealth and letting that money get to their heads. But what I've got for you today is almost the opposite phenomenon. This is somebody with exceptional wealth and social status in her real life, and she decided to join TikTok one day, and she shot to internet fame because she's so wealthy. Her name is Becca Bloom, and she has 3.7 million followers on TikTok. And I'm sure that number is already outdated by the time this video goes live because she is gaining followers by the minute. But here's the thing, she created a TikTok account in January of 2025, and she became somewhat of an influencer virtually overnight because she's posting these videos showcasing her extreme wealth. And the catch is people love her for it. As I will show you, this woman says and does some of the most out-of-pocket, unrelatable rich person stuff, but for some reason it doesn't rub people the wrong way like it would if it was coming from a traditional influencer. A traditional influencer being somebody who makes their living off of social media, who is chronically online, who is always trying to sell you something, who is chasing views and attention. Becca isn't like that, and I feel like calling her an influencer isn't really even the right title, but I'm not sure what else to call her because I've never come across somebody like her before. She's so unique. The most popular types of comments I see on her videos are those who are saying that she's a rich person riching right, or when I say eat the rich, I never mean you. So this video is dedicated to exploring this strange dynamic where I would say generally we're pretty fed up with influencer culture. We're tired of people shoving their wealth in our face, but for some reason Becca seems like the exception, so I really want to dissect why that is. Usually you're kind of side-eyeing these people in disgust because they're so insufferable and the things they're talking about are so out of touch with reality. And it's true that Becca does have a ton of money and the life she's living is not relatable by any stretch of the imagination, but people still find her very likable. If there's anybody that's critical of influencers, it's me. But I think Becca is a national treasure. She came up on my For You page in March and I followed her almost immediately, which was very confusing to me because I'm like the last person to follow influencers. And for the last few months, I've just been watching quietly and also trying to nail down why exactly I like her so much. So today I want to deep dive into Becca's account and really figure out what makes her so much more palatable than the average influencer. There's a lot of different discussions to be had here, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this too, because I feel like my commentary aligns with the majority just in what I've seen in her own comment section. Like the way I feel about her seems to be the way most people feel about her. But I know the examples I'm going to show you today, they could be interpreted many different ways. So let me know how you are feeling about it. There is so much to dig into today, but first I'd love to give a moment for today's sponsor, Hungry Root. Hungry Root is a grocery delivery service that has completely changed the way that my family eats for the better, both health-wise but also convenience-wise. First and foremost, I am a loyal Hungry Root customer. I have been personally paying for this service since January of this year, and my love for them knows no no bounds. This is the coolest thing. I love telling people about it. Hungry Root is like a personalized meal kit, pre-made meal, and grocery shopping experience all in one. Each week they recommend different recipes and groceries based on your preferences, and you can choose to keep those recommendations or you can swap them out. I signed up for Hungry Root because I wanted to alleviate some of that mental load that comes with preparing meals. I actually love cooking, but it's everything leading up to the cooking that's taxing, like deciding what you're gonna make and making a list and then going grocery shopping. With Hungry Root, it's as easy as scrolling through their menu of recipes, picking something that looks good, and then they're gonna send you all the ingredients and a recipe card to make that meal. But the recipes are exceptionally easy. Most of the ones that I've tried come together in 20 minutes or less. But if you're not in the mood for cooking, they also have pre-made meals as well. Or if you're already good to go with meals, then you can use Hungry Root to shop for individual grocery items like produce or snacks, drinks, treats, even supplements. You can filter the recipes and groceries based on your dietary restrictions or your preferences, and everything is 100% customizable down to the ingredients in the meals. Maybe they recommend a meal made with ground chicken, but you want ground beef instead. No big deal, you just swap it out. You're in complete control, so you get exactly what you want. Each week I usually get things to make 1 or 2 dinners, and then I'll get a couple of the pre-made meals to eat for lunch, and then I'll fill in the gaps of whatever else we need, so like snacks for my toddler or breakfast items or sweet treats. But there have definitely been times where it's like, we're good to go. I don't really need anything this week, or I'm traveling and I'm not gonna be home, and it's literally 1 click to skip your delivery. They make it so easy, there's no pressure. I always find it so hard to fit in everything I want to say about Hungry Root because there are so many cool features, but it's one of those things you just have to try it for yourself to fall in love with it like I have. For a limited time, you can get 40% off plus a free item in every box for life by clicking the link in the description box below or going to hungryroot.com and using code Hannah. Again, that's 40% off your first box plus a free item of your choice for life at hungryroot.com using code Hannah. Thanks again, Hungry Root, for sponsoring today's video. Let's start with the first video of Becca's I came across that really drew me in, where I was like, hold up, who are you? Where did you come from?
Just realized I've never actually tried on my wedding necklace, so today I'm gonna try it on in front of you guys. If you're new here, I'm getting married in the Folie de Pré necklace from Van Cleef. I saw this originally in the Van Cleef High Jewelry show in Napa last year when they took us all out there for a few days at the spa, but they only had the ruby version in the jewelry show, so I had them custom order the all diamond version. So I just took it out of the box for the first time. I don't actually know how this, oh, got it, okay. Okay, so this is how it looks. I am absolutely obsessed and I can't wait to wear it on my wedding day.
I've heard of Van Cleef only through social media recently. A lot of big influencers are now buying Van Cleef jewelry, particularly the Alhambra collection, which features this 4-leaf clover design. I kept seeing influencers wearing this jewelry, but I didn't know what brand it was for the longest time. It's Van Cleef. So when I came across this video of Becca's, I was like, here we go again, like another influencer showing off their Van Cleef jewelry, kind of almost rolling my eyes at it, until she dropped the line of, I saw this for the first time last year at the High Jewelry Show in Napa when they invited us all out there for a few days at the spa. And then I was like, wait, hold up. Van Cleef doesn't host influencer events. So like, who are you? And why did Van Cleef invite you on a trip to Napa at the spa? Like, she must be somebody of high social status in the real world in order to be invited to something like that, because Van Cleef doesn't cater to influencers in that way. That was the first signal to me that she's not just internet famous, like she's made a name for herself in the real world offline. And that felt confirmed for me when I looked up the price tag on this necklace, okay? Brace yourselves, because holy mother of God, this necklace is $395,000. I was like, oh, okay, you're not influencer rich, you're like rich. Knowing how much that necklace costs and then rewatching this video to see how nonchalant she is when holding it, handling it, talking about it, it was so jarring for me. My brain was not computing. She's holding this necklace like it's nothing, as if it doesn't cost as much as a house. This meek demeanor in relation to her astronomical wealth is a big part of what captivates people, as you'll continue to see. This is another example of this when she's showing her wedding invitations.
Our wedding invitations just arrived. We designed every part of our invitations with our designer. It comes in this soft cream velvety box, and when we open it, you can see a hand-drawn gold foil illustration of our wedding venue, Villa Balbiano. Here is the RSVP and invitation card, and if we lift the tassel, it is our engagement photo shoot in Provence. So I think I told some of y'all already, but my mom actually orchestrated that photo shoot when she felt major FOMO for missing the actual proposal. So she basically wanted to recreate the proposal in Provence.
The top comment on this video with 243,000 likes says, "I'm so poor that I thought the soft cream velvety box was holding the invitations plural. Turns out it's the actual invitation singular." And I 100% thought the same thing. If you've ever sent out wedding invitations or even something like Christmas cards, you know that it's expensive. Having the cards printed, the postage, every little thing is an upcharge. Like if you want the card to have rounded edges, or if you want it to be gold foil lettering or a glossy finish, like you're paying for that by the card. This is just another sign of how wealthy she is. Each guest gets their own velvet box that they then open to reveal a single invitation inside with a framed photo of the bride and groom in Provence. Like, are you kidding me? It's astounding how much that must cost for each individual guest to receive something that nice. But invitation aside, she's getting married at Villa Balbiano in Lake Como, Italy. Did I know what that was before this point? No. But she made a second video about her venue where she revealed the cost of it.
So I'm getting married at Villa Balbiano this August in Lake Como. This is probably one of the most sought after venues, and I fell in love with it the first time I saw it. This is initially sort of what I had envisioned with the trees. Here's another angle. We have the same florist, Larry. He's great. You can make the design so versatile though. This was another wedding recently. I'm currently debating though if I want one tree or two trees. I wanted to do an outdoor reception, so something like this, or this, or this. Obsessed with this one that the Lake Como wedding planners did last summer. I don't feel comfortable doing a price breakdown of my entire wedding, but in case you guys are interested in the venue, for the 3 days, 2 nights, it would be 100 to 150K, and that includes absolutely nothing. I think they've increased the prices year by year, but you're gonna have to find food vendors and everything else because that's just the price of the venue. Hopefully this was helpful. I just can't get enough of this view. So obsessed. Let me know if you guys want me to do like a little venue tour or anything like that. And this was me visiting the venue last summer.
Tell me why I heard her say that the venue was going to be up to $150,000 and my brain went, that's not too bad. Maybe it's because I know that the necklace she's gonna be wearing on her wedding day is more than double that amount. 2 Villa Balbianos for the price of 1 necklace. What a steal! But I show you these videos as examples of her elevated lifestyle. She's talking about these things so matter-of-factly with such an even tone because this is genuinely the way she's living and she's just giving us a peek into that way of life. It's all in her delivery. She doesn't come across as pretentious or like she's looking down on people who have less. And it doesn't even feel like she's trying to show off or prove anything. She's just stating the facts of her life, which happens to be a life of extreme wealth. Like, oh yeah, I got this necklace at the high jewelry show in Napa last year. Here's my wedding invitation that comes in a soft cream velvety decorative box, and we're getting married in Lake Como. Almost without even really acknowledging or recognizing how big of a flex those things are. Imagine the tone these things would be said in if they were coming from a typical influencer. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have this insane custom Van Cleef necklace that they made for me. It's so stunning. I'm literally so obsessed. I can't get enough of it. They're yelling, they're screaming, they're jumping up and down, they're causing a whole scene over a necklace. Which, in my opinion, I feel like that would be justified for this particular necklace. I mean, come on. But Becca's not doing that, and that's her superpower. She doesn't act like an influencer because she's not really an influencer. She's a wealthy woman who decided to start social media one day. She doesn't have an influencer reaction towards expensive things, and she doesn't have that god-awful influencer inflection in her voice. She's just quietly happy and she's very composed. And it gives off a level of class that you don't often see from influencers. You're not expecting something like this when you're scrolling TikTok, and so when you do, you stop, you watch, you're engaged. These 2 next examples are arguably some of the most insane and unrelatable TikTok videos I have ever seen on the internet, but I love them so much because of the way that she's unapologetically herself.
Wait, my puppy's breakfast with me. Our chef pre-prepped all the ingredients for me, so I have the easy job of just plating it. We're using this little plate, and I think they misspelled bon appetit. Little blue eggs. We were told that the chickens that lay these eggs run around very freely, so hopefully that's true. Abby usually ignores the vegetables and fruits, but I have them anyway. Purple rice with mixed grains. Shredded chicken breast as a meal topper. Happy's a little bit overweight right now, so we're trying to cut back on the fat. But the last step, we're gonna drizzle everything with a little bit of bone broth just to make sure he eats some of the vegetables. Ta-da! Oscar is jealous. Good boy, is it yummy?
She's plating her dog's food in the most over-the-top way I've ever seen in my life, but she's 100% serious. And here she is doing the same thing for her cat.
Plate my cat's breakfast with me. Oscar and I are actually eating from matching chargers this morning.
That's a Versace plate, by the way. The fact that the cat gets a charger is astounding enough, but a Versace charger is next level.
Sushi grade salmon sashimi. Our chef also made Oscar this tuna bone broth blend, which smells like a stinky sock, but to each their own. Soft boiled quail eggs. I'm just gonna give him one because Oscar's also a little bit overweight. I don't know if these eggs are really hard to peel or if I'm just really bad at it. I think it's the latter. We have some salmon roe caviar for seasoning. I'm not gonna put too much of it because I don't want to overwhelm him.
The sentence caviar for seasoning, but not too much because I don't want to overwhelm him when talking about a literal cat, absolutely iconic.
Freeze-dried codfish, which I'm just gonna sprinkle. Oscar's not gonna eat these, but for presentation, we have some edible flowers. I always put a blueberry in his plate so he could play around with it after he's done. Not happy staring at him eat from the window.
The thing is, if I saw this exact same format of video from an influencer, I would just assume that it's rage bait and that the creator is trying to curate this video to shock people and to try and elicit engagement on their post. I would assume that the purpose behind it is an internet creator trying to post something crazy to hit the algorithm. But Becca is not an internet creator. That's not her job anyway. That's not what funds her lifestyle. She works in finance, but we don't know too much more than that. She is private about it, but it really feels like she just stumbled upon internet fame. Here's a video that she posted just a couple months after starting her TikTok account.
Just got back from a seafood restaurant and my rings are so disgusting right now. Let's clean it together while I spill some tea. First, we have to make sure we have our very scientific lab coat on. Tie the hair back. I also have these gloves. I'm not normally this scientific, but since I have an audience today, I thought I would be extra professional. I even have a magnifying glass. I don't really believe in jewelry cleaners, so I just use dish soap. Gotta stay hydrated. Tina, if you're watching, this is your toothbrush. I'm kidding. Kidding. Started TikTok 2 months ago, and honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing here, but you guys are so nice, so it's my new hobby now. I don't know how long I'm gonna stay here for, but hopefully a long time. Parents don't know what I'm doing on here. They honestly have no idea really what TikTok is. They just assumed that it was one of those like dance platforms, so for all they know, I'm dancing all day. No one in my immediate family has TikTok. I'm kind of the only one. They don't know what's going on, and honestly, neither do I. They don't know what I'm doing on here. I don't know what I'm doing on here, so we all don't. Da-da-da. Results. So maybe dish soap isn't the best way to go about it, but I feel like I did a really good job. Dun, da-da-da.
You can't tell me she's not endearing, at the very least. And I love this video because it is so clear that she just got TikTok for fun, and this is a hobby of hers, and she's already got so much more going for her off of social media. Even just the way her videos are edited and how choppy they are and how she regularly cuts off her own phrases, it's so funny to me. It's one of my favorite qualities about her content because it's clear that she's new at this. She doesn't really know how to edit videos yet, and she doesn't have the time to bother with refilming it. She gives off the impression that TikTok is not really somewhere she belongs. In fact, somebody commented once, it's crazy that someone this rich has TikTok. And it really does feel that way. It feels like Becca is out of place on social media for all the best reasons. She's refreshing. She doesn't act in a way that you would expect somebody with that much money to act, and it's intriguing to see. It's almost like when you watch Becca's videos, it makes you realize that influencers are kind of just cosplaying rich people. Like, they're not actually wealthy. They're being performative with their money, but it's like, this is true wealth. Like, Becca is a level above. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but somebody else commented, your audience is nice because you're nice. Becca really does not have haters at this point. She comes across kind and respectful and somehow even humble, which is shocking given that she's very privileged and you wouldn't expect her to present that way. There must be a lot of people who are like me who are like, who is this girl and where did she come from? Because she posted this video where she starts to give more details into her background and her life.
Hi guys, I realize most of you don't know me yet, so today I'm gonna do a little get to know me session. I started this TikTok account a week ago and it was literally for my cat to edit that cat video at the start, and I never knew that people would actually want to watch me. So I'm from the Bay Area, from a little small town called Atherton. I went to school in Los Angeles where I studied business, economics, and minored in law.
My fiance and I met at a little coffee shop in Palo Alto when he first moved down from Canada, because that's where he's from. He works in tech, and so does most of my family. I want to give my parents as much privacy as possible, but obviously they're extremely successful and they're both entrepreneurs working in tech and real estate. But that doesn't stop me from working as hard as possible to be the best I can be. I think it only motivates me. I love dogs. I have a dog right now and a cat, as you guys have seen, and I have had like 5 dogs throughout my life. Their names are Lucky, Bubbles. Okay, that was my dog. His name is Happy. I have always loved shopping and anything to do with fashion. I grew up doing ballet, tennis, and surprisingly Math Olympiad as well. I hope at least one person found this interesting. If not, I'm sorry. I'll go back to regular scheduled programming.
The biggest takeaways from this video are that her parents are extremely wealthy and successful, obviously. She has a college education in business, economics, and law, and she does have her own job outside of social media. Again, she is kind of private about what her and her parents do for work, but she does occasionally show herself at the office, in meetings, and traveling for work, and she definitely does something in finance, particularly stocks. And I really want to focus on this because truly, I think the fact that she has a job off of social media is the crux of why she comes across as relatable, even though most of what she posts is extremely unrelatable. Let's just put it this way, Becca doesn't need us. She's not manipulating any kind of parasocial relationship with her followers in order to earn her living. She doesn't need the support of social media viewers to fund this lifestyle of luxury, and that's what captivates people. Where her money is coming from makes all the difference in how digestible her content is to viewers. That icky dynamic between follower and influencer doesn't exist because in this case, her followers are not playing a significant role in how her money is made. So therefore, it doesn't come across as tasteless when she then flaunts that money. Because I think it's true that there's always that like underlying feeling of like when you see your favorite influencers transforming into someone that you don't really like anymore, you don't really care for anymore because of the money they're making and how they're handling it, you're kind of reminded of your own role within that. Like, wait, my support of you, my viewership of you has funded this lifestyle and it has kind of contributed to this change in your personality and the way you present yourself into something that I don't really like anymore. And again, this was a big conversation that we had in my last Influencer Insanity video about influencers who have changed, but that weird dynamic isn't present in Becca's content. And there's absolutely a conversation in here about old money versus new money, which has also come up in some of my videos previously. Becca very clearly has old money. She comes from generational wealth, which now she's carrying on through being well educated and having a lucrative job herself. But wealth is and has always been a way of life for her. It's not something that she just stumbled upon as a result of internet fame, as is true of many big influencers. These influencers tend to have new money that they have made through the act of influencing, and therefore it is loud money. You can see that shift in their content over time. They used to be down to earth and relatable, and now they're being loud and in your face with that newfound wealth. They're rubbing it in, and it makes people uncomfortable. People don't like feeling like that. And in many cases, influencers are faking it till they make it. They're putting on a performance for social media, trying to portray a life they don't actually live behind the scenes. But that's not true of Becca's content. She posts what she wants, when she wants, without catering to anybody on social media because she's not here to make money on views. She's not seeking anybody's approval in order to grow on social media to make her money. And quite frankly, any money that she does make from TikTok is likely irrelevant to her in the grand scheme of her finances, okay? And that gives her content a certain charm that not many other people have. It's clear that she started TikTok as a hobby, and she kind of has this attitude of like, I heard young people my age have this thing called TikTok, so I downloaded it and I thought I'd start posting some videos for fun. And that's a big contrast to what we tend to see a lot these days, which is young people desiring to become an influencer. So they start selling their soul to the algorithm, posting whatever they have to make it big so that they can then rake in the views and the money. It comes across like she's not documenting these things because she's desiring to become somebody or to prove something. It's just the way she truly lives, and it kind of feels like she's gracing us with the opportunity, as gross as that sounds, to peek into someone's life who is truly living a life of absolute luxury. This is a life most people only dream of, and we're getting to see snippets of it, but she's managing to do it in such a way that doesn't turn people off. Her humility really comes through in the way that she phrases things also. In that video I just showed you, for example, where she's talking about how she was raised, she said that she grew up, quote, in a little small town called Atherton. And then she just kind of breezes on on to the next thing, as if that's not a hugely significant statement for her to make. What if I told you that Atherton, California was the wealthiest zip code in the entire United States? The median home listing price in Atherton is just under $8 million. But she said it so humbly, like, oh, I just grew up in this small town, it's called Atherton, yada yada, moving on. And it's like the viewer would only know that that's a big deal if they had known about Atherton previously. She doesn't make a big deal of it in this video. The same thing happens in one of her earlier videos she posted where she's giving people a jewelry tour of the jewelry pieces that she wears every single day. And as she's going along pointing at things, she's not really giving brand names for a lot of them, but we can see with our own eyes that she's wearing like 5 different Van Cleef pieces along with a Cartier bracelet, a Tiffany bracelet, that ginormous engagement ring. And the part that really stood out to me is that she pointed to the Rolex on her wrist and said, oh, this is just my day-to-day watch.
And then along with that is like a day-to-day watch.
I don't know much about Rolexes, if you can believe it, so I don't know exactly which one this is, but it looks very similar to this watch I found that's over $14,000. Calling a $14,000 watch your day-to-day watch is mind-boggling, but it's also that sense of just quiet luxury where she's not telling you the brand, she's not focusing on it, she's not saying to you how expensive it is or how much she paid for it, because the goal here is not to flaunt her wealth necessarily, it's just to show you what jewelry she likes to wear in her everyday life. And because she's so rich, her everyday jewelry is really expensive. And you can see in most of her videos that she's posted in the months since, she genuinely does wear this stuff every day. It's one of those things where if you don't know what you're looking at, you wouldn't know how expensive it is. But if you do know what you're looking at, then you can tell that she's got hundreds of thousands of dollars on her body right now. So tell me why the way she's presenting this still feels somewhat relatable. It kind of messes with my head a little bit. This is another example of the quiet luxury.
Okay, so my dad recently bought my mom a new car for their anniversary. It is really pretty. It's in this color called lavender gray. But what I really wanted to show you guys is there's an umbrella in here. If I push this button really hard, okay, I don't know how to get this out, but if I push this button really hard, an umbrella will come out. Okay, I figured it out. So if I push this, an umbrella will come out. Isn't that really cool? I didn't know cars could be so cool.
Somebody commented on this video saying, she's wealthy. Rich people say, this Rolls Royce. Wealthy people say, this car. And that was a light bulb moment for me to really sum up the point that I'm trying to make, that I really do get the impression she's not trying to be in your face with the money, but she just thought this was a cool feature of the car and she wanted to show people. She's like, yeah, my dad just gifted my mom this car, but look at the umbrella. And the fact that this is a $400,000 Rolls Royce is kind of beside the point to her. It's like that expression that fish don't know that they're swimming in water. They don't notice their unusual environment because they're so deeply immersed in it that they can't see it. It's just a part of them. It's just how life is. And this is a theme that I noticed throughout her videos, that she will say the most out of pocket, ridiculous things, completely deadpan, as if they're completely normal. She drops these insane one-liners where the viewer's just looking at her like, did you really just say that? Did that come out of your mouth? Because the way that you're saying it doesn't convey the insanity of it, but it just adds to her likability because you can tell she's not trying to prove anything. She's just out here being herself. And what I did is I actually made a compilation of like crazy things that Becca has said. I spliced them all together, so I'm just gonna rapid fire show these to you.
A lot of you guys have asked for my watch collection, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest watch person. I don't go out of my way to buy watches. Over the years, my family has gifted me a few pieces, and to me, they hold mostly sentimental value. The majority of my watch and jewelry collection are actually stored in a bank vault, but I needed this blue watch for an upcoming event this weekend, so I thought, while I have this particular box, why not show you guys some of the Patek Philippe's that I have.
Imagine being so wealthy that you store your jewels in a bank vault. Like your possessions are too valuable that they don't fully feel safe in your own home, so you have to store them in a bank vault. That blows my mind.
Plate my breakfast with me. Our chef usually likes to do a combination of Eastern and Western cuisine. I've been obsessed with this little mini corn on the cob. A couple of those. Also like to add a little bit of caviar just for seasoning purposes.
Firstly, this silverware egg felt shocking. I'd never seen anything like that before, so I looked it up. That is a $2,000 flatware set. Then she drops the line of our chef prepared, which checks out for her lifestyle, followed by another caviar for seasoning purposes as she dumps 2 giant spoonfuls apples on her plate. It's just astounding like how nonchalant she is about all of this.
I was browsing through the fridge just now and I came across 50 of these wooden boxes and I was very confused. I thought it was tea at first, and then I opened it right up and look at what's inside. This giant apple. For reference, okay, I have a normal large Honeycrisp apple right next to this.
Hold on, she was browsing through the fridge and she came across 50 wooden boxes. How big is your fridge, Becca? Now I'm envisioning like this industrial size walk-in refrigerator in her house, which honestly would not be at all surprising. But that line alone, like, oh, I was just browsing through the fridge and I came across 50 wooden boxes, each containing a giant specialty apple. Like, what? Imagine a life where you don't even know what's in your own fridge because you have someone else who handles your groceries and your meal preparation for you.
I don't know why we have 50 giant apples in our home, but I'm gonna do a taste test for you guys to determine if apples that come in wooden boxes taste better than normal grocery store apples. It tastes like a normal apple.
I love her for that, okay? You know, money doesn't always buy taste, literally. This one is really good. I loved this one.
My mom and her Neiman sales associate just got back from a weekend shopping trip in Tokyo and he got me a little gift. I already opened it, but I wanted to show you guys.
My mom and her Neiman sales associate just got back from a little weekend shopping trip in Tokyo and he got me a little gift. Like, Becca, what is your life? The little gift was a pair of vintage Chanel suspenders, by the way. This is what makes her videos so engaging. You never know what's gonna come out of her mouth or what wild experience she's gonna tell you about. Everything she posts gives you a peek into a life you can't even begin to imagine.
Mom just told me that I need to stop embarrassing her every time we go to the mall together because I wear the same aloe sweatsuit. So today I'm gonna dress up a little bit. My base outfit is this Chanel cardigan and these frame jeans. Accessorizing, I'm thinking of either this mini bag, which fits nothing but my mother's patience for me, or this vintage Chanel top handle and then these loafers. Let me know which you think is better.
Fits nothing but my mother's patience for me is gold. If Becca starts selling merch with her phrases on it, I would buy it. She is living such an iconic life and she's doing it with the most deadpan humor. I love it. And as you can see from the background of this video, this is her house, you guys. This is where she lives. It's actually her parents' house, but that's where she's living right now until she gets married, I believe. I think it's a cultural thing for her. Here's some videos that she's posted where you can see other parts of her house in the background and it looks like she's living in a palace. It's not what you would expect a social media influencer's house to look like. This is a level above. This is a level we've never seen before.
Hi guys, I wanted to come on here and show you guys my outfit today because I'm feeling very extra cutesy with this. My jacket is from Chanel and then my bag is the matching one. The back has a little bow on it. David's parents and entire family is in town, so we're going to Neiman for afternoon tea. They let us eat there for free, but we basically pay the meal amount to the server as a tip usually. Skirt is from Zara. I got it for I think like $20 or something crazy like that. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and show you guys my outfit. Okay, that is my cat. This is Oscar, guys. You guys have seen him before, but this is him. He's also very cutesy and demure. But yeah, that's it for my outfit of the day. See y'all later. Bye.
The cat interrupting, very relatable on this channel, okay? But if her own cat didn't walk into frame in this video, I would have assumed she was filming in a hotel lobby. This home is an architectural masterpiece. I've never seen a house this nice before on social media. I mean, God, just look at like the details, like that iron railing, the chandelier. This looks like the staircase from Beauty and the Beast. I often joke about how when influencers start to make a bunch of money, they move into these McMansions. They're these ginormous houses that look really impressive on social media, but they're builder grade, they're very simple, they're very basic, they were usually constructed in a very short amount of time, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, assuming that there's no like structural issues, which usually there are with these homes that are being built really quickly. But when you see an influencer's house that you think is really nice, and then you compare it to this kind of a house, the difference between new money and generational wealth health. It's so obvious. But aside from that, I just love how in this video, her eyes light up when she's like, I just felt really cute today and I just wanted to show you guys. She means that. Like, she's really just feeling herself and she just wanted to show you her cute outfit. Yeah, she might be dressed head to toe in Chanel and that's not really relatable, but the way that she's presenting it makes it feel relatable to the average girl's girl. You know, some people are just genuinely good people, and that's a quality that you can't fake. And it's videos like this one where you can tell she just radiates kindness and sweetness. A lot of people in her comments talk about how she has such kind and welcoming eyes, like you're just drawn into her because she has a good aura about her, which, as I keep saying, is a bit confusing because you wouldn't expect somebody this wealthy to come across this likable, frankly. You want to dislike her, but it's kind of hard to. Here's another example of her house showing her bathroom.
My girlfriend's is in town right now, so I'm gonna take her to the Four Seasons Day Spa in Napa. I'm gonna do a quick little outfit of the day before we leave. Top and bottom set is obviously from Louis. For my shoes, I'm wearing these white Chanel slides. And then for my bag, this is where I need your guys' opinions. I'm debating between this little baby blue Pearl Crush or this white tote. Now I can just throw my skincare products inside, and it also matches my shoes perfectly. But then this bag, I do want to get more wear out of because I think I've worn it once since I got it. So let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys have an amazing, amazing day, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
She said that she's about to head to Napa to go to the spa, but she looks like she's already at the spa. The first thing that caught my attention was that her shower door in the background, it looks like this like iron wrought gate. And then there's also like a fountain or like a planter installation thing on the wall over her tub. Again, this is unlike anybody's bathroom I've ever seen before on social media. This feels like a 5-star hotel.
Headed off to an art auction, so I'm gonna do a quick little outfit of the day before we head out. My dress is from Cleo Pepiot. David got this for me for our anniversary last year. He had to custom order because they ran out of my size. For my bag, I'm debating between this mini Lady Dior in lizard skin or this plain white Lady Dior. Let me know which is better. I feel like this is more simple. For jewelry, I'm just wearing the everyday stack. I finally got my Spinelli ring back from repair. For shoes, I'm debating between these white, chunky Polly Pocket shoes from Chanel, which I think match the bag perfectly. I have a second option for shoes as well, which are these new Rene Calvillas that I just bought myself. These are definitely gonna be prettier, but I feel like they're not gonna be the most comfortable, especially if we have to stand for long periods. Let me know what you guys think, the white bag or the pink bag, and the white shoes or the pink shoes. That's it for my outfit of the day. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.
The scale of this house is remarkable, and I feel like you can really get a sense for that in that last clip. And the things that she's getting dressed up for are also iconic. She's going to afternoon tea at Neiman. She's going to an art show. She's going to the Napa Spa with her friend. What a dream. I love this for her. I really do. And another thing I wanted to point out about why I think people are drawn to her is that she asks for people's advice a lot of the time on her outfit choices and her accessories. Should I go with this Lady Dior handbag or this Chanel handbag? And I think it's a fun engagement technique because it almost lets people participate in the experience of dressing up in designer. Most people will never have a closet full of designer handbags to choose from, so it's kind of fun for her to be like, should I pick this one or this one? I mean this in the least creepy way possible, but it's kind of like she's a doll that we get to dress up and live vicariously through her. We'll never have the money for these things, but if we did, this is how we'd choose to style that outfit, and it's kind of fun. Many people do give their opinions in her comments on her outfit choices, but then there's also comments like this that crack me up. This person said, I think I'm too poor to give my opinion. There was this one video where she was showing her Hermes jacket and she was talking about how she didn't really tie the belt very well and she's not sure how to tie it. And so she was asking like, if anybody has any advice on how to tie this belt, let me know. And people were commenting like, Becca, we don't own Hermes coats. We don't know if it's tied right. We don't know how to tell you how to do it. And again, she's not talking down on people. She's asking genuinely like, which designer handbag do I go with? Or how do I tie this Hermes jacket? And people have to remind her like, Becca, we don't dress like this. We don't have this kind of money. We don't know fashion like you know fashion. And it's funny because she often asks for fashion advice on her page, but She also gives a lot of advice too, and it's damn good advice. She's a very intelligent woman, and not everything she posts has to do with her possessions, although that is primarily what I've shown you in this video. She also has a lot of great practical life advice to offer as well, to the point where people are practically begging her to start a podcast because they love hearing her speak about things. And here are some of my favorite examples of that.
One of the most important lessons that my parents taught me was that if you are easily reactive or easily offended, you are making it easier for others around you to manipulate you. Let me explain why. Research in game theory shows that predictable reactions make it easier for someone to control the dynamic. For example, that coworker that just knows how to get under your skin. Constant emotional engagement also drains your mental capacity and energy, leading to more impulsive decisions and also making you more likely to accept behavior that you wouldn't otherwise. The more you react, the more power that you give away to others. I think this also applies to early stages in dating when you can't fully trust someone just yet. Reacting to every tiny little thing will give them more leverage when it comes to shifting the power dynamic. I think that women that garner the most respect when it comes to initial dating phases aren't the ones that react and fight every single battle, but rather the ones that selectively and strategically choose when to engage in them. Obviously, this doesn't apply in long-term relationships where trust is already established and working through conflicts strengthen the connection. Key here is knowing which emotional investments are worth it, and oftentimes in the early stages, it's simply not. My point here is to not let the opinions of other people that might not matter in the long term affect you, because when you react, you're giving them power and resources to manipulate you down the line. Save your energy for the relationships that do matter long term, and obviously don't tolerate any disrespect from them.
I feel like I'm watching TikTok Premium. I feel like I should have to pay for this content. She does an amazing job of being really insightful and straight to the point and offering great advice. And she has a whole series on her account called Advice, and it's just short videos on a variety of topics, and I love the way that she explains things. She dropped so many great one-liners that I feel like I need to rewatch that clip over and over to really process everything. But it's great life advice to not be reactive and not give people power over you in that way. And that applies to so many different situations. I think anybody could really take that advice and apply it to their own lives. Here's another one that I really liked.
Here's some of the weird household rules that I grew up with. 1, we didn't clap for participation. If you didn't win, you didn't get a congratulations, you got a debrief. What worked, what didn't, and what comes next. My parents always thought that overpraising participation dilutes motivation. I recently found through a Harvard research study that children who were praised for efforts over outcomes showed 40% higher resilience rates in problem solving later on. The debrief isn't to shame, it's more to optimize. Number 2, I was never told explicitly to not lie. I was more so taught that the second you lose someone's trust, it will never come back. Come to think of it, my parents never punished me for telling the truth, even when it was inconvenient, so I never felt this impulse to lie to them in the first place. First grade, I told my parents that I copied my friend's math homework. Instead of reprimanding me, they said, okay, but when the test comes, are you setting yourself up for failure? Which I totally did. When I proactively came to them with the truth, they never yelled and never shamed and just used logic. Over time, I realized that the more open I was, the more trust and freedom I was getting. Number 3, no critique without a counter proposal. If we disagreed with a system or a rule, we had to draft one that was better. I recently read that 90% of critiques stop at the complaint. Most criticisms fail because they only recognize what is broken, not what would work better within the constraint. It trained me to respect complexity and not just voice my discontent. I'm not sharing this as advice. It created anxieties and had its own blind spots, but it did shape how I approach problems, decisions, and discomfort. Sometimes it's interesting to see how the rules you didn't even know you were following shapes the way that you see the world.
I get the sense that her parents likely had high expectations and firm boundaries and a very particular way of doing things, which, like any parenting strategy, has its pros and cons. But I think in Becca's case, it served to create someone who is high achieving and critically thinking and also grounded, which is really impressive because there's a lot of potential for children who grow up in very wealthy or privileged environments to become not that. And I appreciate that she posts things like this because it gives us a peek into the family values that she was raised with and also helps us make more sense of why we like her so much. Her parents held her to a very high standard. She now holds herself to that standard, if not higher. She conducts herself very well and she comes across very intelligent and likable. This is another video she did all about her dating non-negotiables.
Here are my dating non-negotiables as someone who grew up in a more privileged position. For context, I'm engaged to the most amazing fiance ever. I'm going to start off by addressing the elephant in the room. This is not an influencer apology by any means, But I did want to talk about financial responsibility, and that looks different for everybody, right? At minimum, I need to be able to date someone who is my financial equal, and not because I'm looking to take their money, but it's more so as a protective measure to make sure that my family's finances are not being taken advantage of. Now, expanding this to be more applicable to everybody, I think at minimum your partner should have a healthy relationship with finances, aka not be reckless with spending, and also be able to plan for the future. Another prerequisite for me is drive, ambition, and hard work. I was raised on those values, and I push myself pretty much to the limit every single day when it comes to working hard, both in school and at my work. So I expect my partner to be able to do the same. This is probably the most important, but they need to be kind to my mom. I won't even consider them if they're not kind to my mom, because my mom is the most important, amazing person in the entire world. David definitely does a great job of doing that. Every single Sunday since we've met for the last 5 years, he's bought my mom flowers. Another thing to watch out for is consistency, not intensity. In my opinion, consistent effort predicts long-term happiness much more than grand gestures. You have to be able to depend on your partner for life and not just increments of it. In my last video that blew up, I mentioned that I have really high expectations when it comes to dating, and that's primarily because I'm already content with my life as is. I know I can live a happy, fulfilling life on my own, so if I choose to be with someone, then they have to truly add value to my current life, and not just because I need them to make me feel complete, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I love how practical and reasonable all of her tips are. This is a great example of how you identify your own values and then how you make those things non-negotiables within your partner. For her, she said that it's somebody who is her financial equal, somebody who is ambitious, who is kind to her mom, and who's consistent in the way that they show up for her. Is that too much to ask for? No! And this is a great video for young women to watch so that they can establish their own standards and not settle for less. She's being a great role model in that way. And the main reason I wanted to include that clip is because of the part where she addresses the financial aspect of her relationship. She basically said, I need a man who makes as much money as me. But the way she explained it was very thoughtful, and it made a lot of logical sense, and you could tell that that statement isn't coming from a place of materialism, like I need a rich man. She's basically saying, you know, when you're a multimillionaire, these are the kinds of things you have to worry about. And I know that it's not relatable, but it is the reality. You unfortunately do have to be cautious about people who are only after you for your money, and so dating somebody who has their own wealth is a protective measure, as she called it, essentially a way to make sure that she's marrying somebody for love and not for money. And I appreciated how she acknowledged how this is kind of an uncomfortable topic, and I know that most people won't relate to this, but I'm still gonna answer it, and I'm still gonna be honest because a lot of people are asking about it. She's great about being transparent about her lifestyle without feeling like she's showing off. She's really skilled at that, as you've seen. And finally, here's one more short advice video that I loved.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when men gatekeep financial concepts by overcomplicating them.
My dad always told me if you understood it, you wouldn't need 5 paragraphs to explain it.
First is a stock buyback. That's when a company literally buys back its own shares to make them rarer and pricier. It's like a girl who takes down thirst traps on Instagram to make the remaining ones hit harder. So she has less posts on Instagram overall, but the remaining ones seem better and have higher engagement. Next, what's a trade deficit? A trade deficit is when a country buys more from other countries than it sells to them. It's essentially like if you're always buying stuff off of other people's Poshmark pages and no one's ever buying stuff off of your page, you're always giving money to other people and your closet's not making anything in return. Next is a foreign exchange reserve, and that's just the cash and currency a country saves for a rainy day. Ooh, it's like when your friend keeps euros, pesos, maybe an old Sephora gift card in her wallet just in case.
Look, this isn't my normal type of content, so if I've wasted your time today, I am sorry.
We love the breakdown of financial terms into girly explanations. She's not talking down to us, she's just giving analogies that make it easier to digest in order to show us that these are not actually hard concepts. They just have fancy names, and don't let the fancy names stop you from understanding the concepts. And a lot of people in her comments are like, yes, more of this. Like, I'm actually learning something here. We need women to be more financially savvy. This is like true girls girl content. And you know what? She used the word gatekeeping, how she hates when men gatekeep financial concepts. And that made me realize something. I think another big reason why people like Becca so much is that she's not gatekeeping the lifestyle of the very wealthy. She's actually being open and transparent transparent about that lifestyle in a way that's not insulting, it's almost inspiring. It's really cool to see a young woman be so successful while also giving us snippets of information and insight as to how she got there. She acknowledges that she's well educated and that she's a hard worker, but she also acknowledges her privilege. She's self-aware enough to recognize, like, I'm in this position because a lot of very privileged circumstances in my life had to work in my favor in that way. And I think that comes across very well in the delivery of her videos. To wrap this up, I wanted to show you one more example of a video I saw on her TikTok that was actually the only thing that she's ever posted that I saw that received any level of backlash. And that is a video that she posted with influencer Haley Bailey. They were both attending a fundraising gala in New York, and they made this short video together joking about how they were the only two from their friend group who made it to the event because everybody else canceled. And the comments were full of instant backlash and disappointment. Over 2,000 comments, all saying some variation of, no, don't do this, don't start hanging out with influencers. Someone even said, no, Becca, no, please don't downgrade yourself. Like, dang, that's gotta really hurt if you're Haley. Someone else said, Becca, think of the stocks, this is not a good investment. Because in one of Becca's advice videos, she was using business analogies to describe relationship dynamics, and so people are like, no, don't invest in this relationship. It's not a good ROI. This video brought out a fear in Becca's followers that they are scared that she's gonna like go to the dark side and start hanging out with influencers. Being seen with an influencer cheapens her, which damn, that's really harsh to say. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to point any of that negativity towards Haley specifically. It's just that people have come to view Becca on a higher level. She's held to a higher standard than influencers because people have more respect for her than they do for influencers. This video was posted in April, and I haven't found any more videos with influencers on her account since, I don't believe, which comes as a relief to her followers, I'm sure. And she's grown to over 3 million followers in just 7 months, which is arguably influencer status, but she's still remaining true to who she is and how she presents herself online. And I really do hope that it stays that way because, like I said, she's got that certain charm to her. Becca's got her own really great thing going on right now. Whatever she's doing, people love her for it, and I hope she keeps doing it. What I would hate to see is that her exposure to social media sort of tarnishes that charm that she has, when then she starts to morph over time into this like unrelatable, insufferable influencer that we're used to seeing. It seems like she stayed true to herself up until this point, and I hope that it remains that way. I think the moral of the story to this entire video is that people want the best for good people. It's easy to be happy for somebody who's in a more privileged position than you when you feel like they're deserving of it. It really is as simple as that, I think, because when you see rich influencers, it's hard to see how they're deserving of it, honestly. They come across as entitled and snobby, and they lack the self-awareness to acknowledge their privilege, and they don't recognize that it's not a good look to be rubbing their money in the faces of the people who have helped fund that lifestyle. I think as a society, we have a level of disgust towards the wealthy, which is completely understandable, but I really do feel like maybe it's not the money that's the issue, it's how people conduct themselves when they have money that's the issue. And Becca has sort of found a home within that space on social media. I'll leave you with this. Be a good human, be humble, be self-aware, acknowledge your privilege, and be kind to others. Those qualities will take you really far in life. And with that, I think that's everything I have for you for today's video. I am a little bit nervous about how this is gonna go over because I know the heart of the Influencer Insanity series on my channel is to be highly critical and to kind of pick apart really problematic trends or concerning things you see in influencer culture. And this video is unique in the sense that it's not really that. It's a larger discussion about why people are taking this huge interest in this wealthy lifestyle content when it's like, hold on, I thought we were kind of moving away from that. We were getting tired of that. I really dislike the way that that content makes me feel when it's coming from an influencer, but for some reason when Becca does it, I feel differently. So I'd love to hear your take on all of these things because as I said at the top of the video, I feel like I'm kind of just summarizing the collective opinion that I've seen in her comment sections. Overwhelmingly, people are in support of Becca. They like her, but I do recognize everyone is different. Everyone can watch the same video and interpret it multiple different ways. So if you have a differing opinion, I'd love to hear about it down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.